Um, it's kind of hard to be nonpartisan when you look at these results. It looks like, the Democrats are more green, the Republicans are more, brown or black or something. But I know from covering up there that are green Republicans. How's that shaking out?
As you noted, there absolutely are green Republicans, and there are a number who did quite well this year. Congressman Shays of Connecticut was one of the Republicans who was the Republican who got 100%. There are a number of other Republicans who got in the 80s and the 90s, people like Congressman Lopiondo of New Jersey, Congressman Reichert of Washington. So we look forward to continuing to work with them to make more progress on the environment and hope that they'll work with others in their party so that we have even more pro-environment Republicans, so we make even more progress.
And while I'm asking, how much daylight is there between Obama and Clinton on this score? Because from your chart, I can't really see much.
I think they're both very strong on so many different environmental issues, both real leaders on global warming, co-sponsors of the strongest bill out there. It would get us to 80% reductions by mid-century, and 15 to 20% reductions by 2020, which is what the science indicates is necessary. So we applaud both of their records. Definitely.
You mentioned that there's confounding factors here, like the absentee votes, in terms of the records of the presidential candidates. I mean, how much of an indicator is this year's scorecard in terms of what we can expect in terms of presidential behavior?
Again, as Tina mentioned, it's an occupational hazard of running for president that you would actually miss a lot of votes. I think the key indicator is which candidates came back to show up for important votes and which ones didn't. And that's really, when you look at anyone's record, where the rubber hits the road is how they voted on issues and which votes they felt it was important to get back for. And both Senator Clinton and Senator Obama did make it back for key environmental votes. And as we noted, Senator McCain did not cast one of the 15 votes that we scored. So when you're looking at what kind of indicators they're going to be, that's anyone's guess. But I think at the end of the day, you have to judge the score on its merits and based on was there an effort made to get back, what did they vote on, and that's how they're going to be measured.
And one other point to add on that is that if you look in the 2006 scorecard, which is available at lcv.org, but I can tell you now the three scores prior to this year. So Senator McCain had a 26% as of the end of 2006. Senator Clinton had an 89%, and Senator Obama had a 96%. So I think those scores also give you a flavor for their records the entire time that they've been in the Senate.
In previous elections, environmental questions have been sort of secondary issues in voters' minds when they make decisions. Is that the expectation for this fall, or is there something different that might depress those?
I think it's fair to say we're sometimes frustrated that environmental issues aren't as much front and center as we would like. But as we looked at the evidence from 2006, that story changed very dramatically. In fact, clearly 2006 was very much a change election. And the environmental groups, all the environmentalists that got involved in politics, made very clear a sharp message on one issue, and that was the issue of energy policy, which ties into our economy, our jobs, our consumer interests, security interests, and obviously the interest in saving the planet, particularly from global warming. And that became a message that was echoed by all the environmental groups who do politics, but more importantly by candidate after candidate after candidate in the 2006 election. So we saw more ads with candidates talking about incumbent so-and-so got this much money from big oil, and he or she voted for tax breaks for big oil, and I'm for a new energy future, standing behind a windmill or standing next to a hybrid car. Those messages were part of the campaign. A poll was done on election day of 2006. And clearly 2006 was a change election. The biggest reason it was a change is because independent voters who previously had split their votes evenly between Democrats and Republicans moved 18 points to Democrats in 2006. When they were asked what was the main reason you moved away from Republicans towards Democrats, given a list of 10 issues, the war, terrorism, healthcare, education, by far the single biggest reason independents moved away from Republicans and towards Democrats was the issue of energy policy. So for the first time in a long time, we saw the environment framed as an energy issue, not just about the environment, but also about jobs, about the economy, about security, about consumers, about our health, and about saving the planet. That conversation that candidates had with voters was a key determinant in the 2006 change election. As we look at the presidential race of 2008, you see Senator Clinton and Senator Obama talking about their energy policy and their global warming policy every day. Senator McCain has done that as well. So the remaining leading candidates on both sides of the aisle have talked about this issue and talked about how serious it is. Obviously, their records are different, as we heard. Lifetime scores, both Obama and Clinton are far superior to Senator McCain. Their global warming plans, Senator Obama's and Senator Clinton's plans on global warming are far superior and really do what the science needs to say we need to do. But they've made this issue a priority because they know that that's what the voters want to hear. That's what we saw in 2006. That's why so many new members came to Congress saying we need new leadership and new policies on these issues. The single first and only select committee the new speaker put together was a select committee on energy, independence, and global warming. And that's the committee that's helped drive a lot of this progress we've made.
Are you going to spend money to try to defeat McCain's presidential election? And how do you made reference to it just a moment ago, but how do you reconcile opposition to McCain, given the fact that he has supported global warming legislation? Where does he fall short specifically?
In terms of where we think that Senator McCain falls short, unfortunately, there are far too many examples. I mean, first of all, his score, whether you take the 26% score or the 24% score, clearly that's voting pro-environment about 1 in 4 times, which is simply inadequate. And then, although he does deserve some credit for recognizing that global warming is a problem and for having a bill out there, as Gina said, his bill no longer is adequate to meet what the evolving science has showed is necessary. Moreover, he has voted against some of the energy solutions that are really necessary to ensure that we meet those reductions, whether it's renewable electricity standard. Last year he didn't vote on CAFE when he had the opportunity to do so, also didn't vote on repealing the oil subsidies when he had the chance to do so. He's been in different places on fuel efficiency over the years. So I think those are just a few of the examples where he has fallen short and where he's not supporting the clean energy policies that are so crucial to our future.
And to be clear, we have not yet made an endorsement decision in the presidential election, but both the voter guide that we put out earlier back in December, late last year in December, as well as the scorecard today, are two things we want to use to inform voters about the records of the candidates.
Clearly, the endorsement decision wouldn't be for McCain.
But we have not made a decision, but if you look at the records, their lifetime records, clearly both Senator Obama and Senator Clinton have far superior lifetime records and have shown to be supportive of much more aggressive plans to deal with what we think is the biggest challenge, that is the challenge of global warming.
Support people based on their scores. McCain is so far below it. You're clearly not going to endorse McCain.
Well,
right?
Again, we have not yet made a decision, but the evidence would suggest clearly that two Democratic candidates, both of them, have far superior records, both on how to solve the global warming problem and just as importantly on their lifetime positions on a whole host of environmental issues, including other energy issues as well. But back to one other point about how we use the scorecard in a positive way. I mentioned earlier the 3 dirty dozen candidates we've already put on the thing. We also, our first Senate candidate was Senator Mark Udall, who's actually opposing the dirty dozen person we just put on named Bob Schaefer in Colorado. Mark Udall has one of the highest lifetime scores in the entire House of Representatives. He's a real champion and a real hero. And we used our scorecard as a measure of how good he's been as a House member, and really look forward to him being the new senator from the state of Colorado.
Were there any surprises, counterintuitive results in the report of maybe someone from Kentucky or southwestern Virginia who has an extremely strong environmental record, or someone from Vermont who has a really terrible one?
There's actually a lot of examples, and that's one indication of how Congress has really changed, because we tend to focus on the zeros and the hundreds, but there's a lot of stories in the 2007 National Environmental Scorecard that need to be told. A couple of examples off the top of my head. I mean, obviously you look at the dirty dozen members who were replaced, and you look at the freshman class who did very, very well on environment. In Louisville, Kentucky, Don Yarmouth is a freshman House Representatives member. He scored 100% in his first year, which is great. Kentucky's not traditionally a state where there are a lot of pro-environmental voters, and he's done a tremendous job for his constituents. A couple other examples. If you want to look at Republicans, you look at Representative Todd Platts from Pennsylvania. While his overall score this year, I believe, was at 55%, he was a leader in the House on getting both the CAFE, the fuel efficiency standards passed, and the renewable electricity standard passed. He was the lead Republican co-sponsor on both of those measures. And unfortunately, as we mentioned, we didn't get the RES through, but he continues to fight for that. But we did get the fuel efficiency, and we need bipartisan leadership to actually get any of these policies passed.